welcome back to another episode of Bodies, Barbells and Bagels. And in this episode, it is a solo episode for me today. Well, I do have a special guest on, but there will be no Sean McClaney because, to be honest, this topic isn't really his jam. And yeah, so you're stuck with me today and my special guest. We are going to be delving into more mindset related topics today within this podcast. It's something that's been well and truly requested by a lot of females out there in particular. So guys, if you're not interested in mindset, this may not be for you, but at the same time, I think a lot of guys can benefit from this more than what they might think. So today I'm going to be having on my special guest with me, and he is actually one of my fellow coaches at Team Round, and that is Jason Barrett, who is a qualified NLP therapist. He will tell you what NLP is in a moment if you have no idea what it is. Also a nutritionist, and obviously, like I said, one of our breakthrough coaches, helping so many women around Australia now, breaking through some of the barriers holding them back in nutrition, training and mindset related. So welcome, Jason.
Thanks, Alice. Thanks for having me on.
You are welcome.
Yeah, no,
it's been too long.
I know it has. You've been doing this for a long time, and I've just been waiting to get my voices out to the ears.
Well,
so.
You didn't make it on the old podcast, today you're on the new one, so now it's even more important. So we thank you for coming on, and today we're going to be talking about mindset. So obviously, mindset is such a general word, and I get a lot of girls email me and they say, I need help with my mindset, and you would get that too. So I guess, can you explain what you think of mindset as a professional and what NLP is for guys that don't understand that as well?
Cool. So I'll start with what NLP is so you have a bit of a framework around what I work with. So NLP stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming. Now, that is essentially just the science of how we store and code information in our brain. So looking at the things that we see in life, looking at basically all the information that comes in, how we store and code that, how we assign meaning to that, because essentially all humans we're just meaning-making machines. We see something or we feel something and then we associate a meaning to it, and this comes from our experiences, this develops into our beliefs, our attitudes, our patterns, our habits, all the kind of stuff that really makes up the core of our life. So that's basically what we work with
it's pretty
NLP.
Big, isn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of sums up everything, and I guess that's kind of leading on to answering the question about mindset. Mindset is really it's an accumulation of your attitudes, of your habits, of your emotions, of everything, because the way that people use it in this day and age, they use it as you said, in a very broad way, and that's because it is a very broad subject. So mindset could be your emotional response to a situation, or it could be your habits, or it could be just your attitudes, it could be your environment, the way you're relating to people, the way that you view things, your self-talk. It could be anything like that. Basically, we just say anything that's going on upstairs.
Do you think a lot of the time, this might be a bit of a generalization, but people associate mindset with bad mindset, and they don't think about sometimes a lot of the positives that it can actually be about, and get too stuck a bit in that?
Yeah, I think that mindset does have the current advertising, the current media talks about, fix your negative mindset or repairing your mindset, always about the mindset being bad. But I would say that a lot of people associate a good mindset to the very airy-fairy, like, I have a good mindset, I do yoga and I meditate and I say namaste and I've got my prayer beads. Like, a lot of people, there's a bit of a little bit of a stigma around
spirituality
spirituality and mindset. And as you said before, especially for guys, there's definitely a big push in the media that's, showing that, for guys to cry is bad, with the whole sort of cricket scandal that happened lately. Have you seen those photos?
No.
There was photos of some of the cricketers crying. It's cry babies and stuff like that. So there's so much in there for guys to not focus on their mindset, to not express themselves. And so we're just trying to sort of switch that around a little bit.
And I guess with that, I have worked firsthand with some guys who have been FIFO workers and battled depression. And I know that it's an area that you're interested in as well. And what do you think happens? What are the repercussions, I guess, more for guys when they struggle with almost expressing their emotions or talking about their feelings or working on themselves in terms of a mindset?
Well, this can apply to everyone as well. The biggest thing that I talk about when they don't journal, when they don't vent, when they don't have someone to talk to, when they don't express what's really going on is, essentially we just bottle it up. And the way that it happens is almost like it's a ping pong ball that's going around and around and around in your head, and it just gets faster and faster and starts hitting harder and harder over time because you don't open your mouth, you don't write it out, you don't let it out in any way. So it's just this pressure and this overwhelm and this anxiety and all these emotions that build up because they're not properly expressed. As a result, you don't feel like you're being heard, you don't feel like you're validated, you don't feel like your feelings are important. And the more over time, it's like a compound effect. The more you don't feel that, the more you don't feel like anyone cares. Which is definitely the narrative that's being portrayed at the moment.
And it's a contradiction because it's like, well, how can anyone care if you're not telling anyone about it?
Exactly. It's like you're not, and you're feeling like you're not valid enough to actually talk about what's going on, and then it's just this spiral downwards.
Yeah, absolutely. It's almost like eating. It's like when people binge eat, it's a vicious cycle because they binge more and then they feel worse about what they've done. It's the same thing with mindset.
Exactly.
The more you push it to the wayside, the worse it's going to become, and then the more negative self-talk comes in because it's like you start with one thing and you're like, oh, I don't want to express this. Then the next thing, oh, I'm worthless. And then the next thing and the next thing. And then that's what leads to a lot of depression and anxiety. And I guess the other question, I want to take it back a notch, is I guess going back to NLP, because we kind of breezed over what NLP is. But for people out there, if they're thinking about potentially seeing a counsellor or a psychologist or an NLP therapist, what I guess is the big difference between, say, an NLP therapist and an actual psychologist?
Cool. So there's a number of differences. The main ones, I guess, that I'll touch on is an NLP therapist specializes in helping you shape the way that you want to see the world and using that through specific techniques, and it's usually very rapid change.
Yeah.
Right? So a lot of people will see an NLP, and it's a bit sad, but some people will see an NLP therapist for a quick fix because there are techniques, there are some strategies that we can do, and if you are struggling with this kind of stuff, it's best done in conjunction with the qualified psychologist, just because of the fact that having someone there that can put in long-term strategies where you are talking to someone one-on-one and they are helping you over the long term. Not that an NLP therapist couldn't do that, but I guess that the focus,
more severe cases.
The more severe cases would be definitely focusing on psychology and having that long-term support, whereas NLP is designed to help you shift your perspective in a much quicker way. And I guess to go back a little bit, the best way I can put this is your mindset. You either have a mindset by default or by design.
Yeah, I love that. So explain what that means.
So essentially, a lot of people roll through life, and this is the same thing with their nutrition, with their training, whatever. They'll build up a life by default, which means that they allow other people to determine it. Yeah. They allow their environment to dictate what their mindset is going to be without taking any active control over it. Because,
so what's like an example of that?
So, I mean, pretty much every client that comes to us that talks about things like stress and overwhelm and anxiety, and because they're allowing other people to dictate their goals, their mindset, they're allowing other people to affect them, mainly because of the fact that they haven't realized that they are able to take control back themselves.
So like a default might be like a mum saying, I'm stressed because I have 3 kids, or I'm, and going to that. No shade at the mums out there because we work with a lot of you and we help a lot of you, but that's definitely a one that, or I'm stressed because of my job. And it's like, that's a choice. That's your default, rather than going, okay, well, I can either make a change or I can change and be grateful that I have a job, or switching to that. So that would be more design.
Exactly. That would be more design, looking at, okay, cool, how do I want to wake up? Because a lot of people will wake up and be like, cool, I wonder how I'm going to feel today. They don't take any active control over how they want to feel. For some people, it's about self-worth. They don't feel like they're worthy of dictating the way that they should feel. And again, that's probably more the severe end as well, when people have been just put down that much in their environment that they don't feel like there is a way out. They don't feel like there is an option for them to express themselves and for them to say, you know what, no, I'm taking control. So by design instead of by default is essentially waking up and saying, how do I want to choose to feel today?
Yeah. And that can't happen overnight. And I think that's the other thing. I think and that kind of ties in with, we talk a lot about stories that people get stuck in. And I think that comes with the default. Yeah. Because it's almost like they've created this story in their brain that, I've been in a bad relationship and someone's put me down all these years, and now I have no self-confidence, and now I'll never be confident, and now I'll never be able to date again, and now I'm going to be lonely and I'm going to live forever by myself, and that's it. Yeah. And how often do we hear those sort of things from clients?
Yeah, identity is a big one. That's the way that we see ourselves. We have this big image in our head of what and who we are, and that changes over time. Like you said, as soon as you become a mum, all of a sudden you get all these past, in NLP we talk about it's neuro-linguistic programming, the programming obviously coming from computers. And when when we get this flood of information from our mums basically saying, oh, this is how my mum did it, oh my god, this is what it means to be a mum, my mum was always stressed out, so therefore I always have to be stressed out. It's like, no, that's not the case, that's just the default.
They get mum guilt if they're almost like not like that. Like
exactly.
I've had a mum say, oh, like I've been really chilled out this week and like everything's organized and like I feel like something's wrong because I'm actually on top of my shit. And I was like, no, that's how you want to feel. Like,
exactly. And the biggest thing I can give to anyone out there who is struggling with their mindset at the moment, or is struggling with some negative habits or things that are popping up, is these are going to serve you in some way. You wouldn't have these habits if they didn't give you something. Right? If they didn't meet one of your needs. And for a lot of mums, it is really important for them to feel busy. Otherwise, they won't feel like they're doing their job right. And it's going to make them feel important as well. Like, there's a whole culture, especially on Facebook, of, the mum memes that are sharing, like, you're a mum if, there's poo everywhere in the house and things are thrown and you don't, and it's a nightmare to get everything ready. Like, that's the kind of, the general, at least from the outside, seeing that is what that looks like. And that just perpetuates the same idea that if you are a mum, then you have to be busy and you have to be stressed.
Yeah, it's always the same with like gym culture. Like people, you see those memes of like gym culture and it's like Saturday night doing my meal prep, going to the gym, doing this, doing that. And then people think that to get a good physique, they need to be that friggin' stringent and obsessed. And then they get confused and they get scared because they're like, well, I don't want to do that. I don't want to give up my social life. And like, we both know that you can be social and get a good physique. So it's the same sort of thing. That it's almost like that you got to grind. And it's like, really? Like, do you have to? Like, maybe if you're comp prepping, but like for most people, you don't have to grind every single day to change your physique. Like you can make daily changes and it not have to be a thing that you go 100% all in on. Same with being a mum. You don't have to just be a mum, so to speak. And I know that sounds bad for mums hearing that, but you are more than just a mum. You're a fucking human being. Like, you're not just a mum. And I think that annoys me when I hear that, because I think mums lose their identity, like you said before, a lot of the time. It's like, okay, mum hat on, now I'm a mum. And it's like, yeah, but you can take that hat off. And I think that's a big thing that we talk to our girls about. So I guess going back to identity, how would then someone, if they're unhappy with who they are and they're unhappy with their identity, because I definitely know, like looking back on my life, and it was funny, actually yesterday I filmed a 30 things I've learnt by 30. So my 30th's coming up, so that'll be just after this episode actually. And it made me really reflect on like who I was going through my early 20s, even earlier than that. And I don't think I had any idea who I was till I was about 25, 26. I knew things that I liked about myself and I knew things I didn't like about myself. But there was probably a lot more things that I focused on that were the negative back then. Whereas now I've kind of more accepted, okay, this is who you are. You either like it or you don't, or you change something. So if there is someone out there that's like, comes to you, and it's really sad, but you do get people come to you and go, I have no idea what other people would like about me. There is nothing about myself I like. How would you help them go through that?
It's an interesting one. It's a hard one to go through, especially if they're that stuck in that story and that idea that no one else has anything good. So I would ask them, like, cool, when was the last time someone gave you a compliment?
What if they say never?
Never? Cool. Are you sure about that?
Yeah, maybe at work.
Yeah, at work? Cool. Who at work?
A colleague.
A colleague. Okay,
Yeah.
What's his colleague's name?
Rupert.
Rupert, yes. Rupert. Oh, good old Rupert. You work with Rupert Murdoch?
Yeah.
So, Rupert, what did he say?
He said that I'm very productive.
Very productive? Awesome, cool.
Very efficient, yeah.
Productive and efficient. Those are pretty good traits to have, wouldn't you say?
Yes, but what guy is going to be interested in me because I'm productive and efficient?
Who says it has to be for a guy?
But that's what I want.
Okay, cool. So what do you need? What do you think that you need to be for a guy?
Oh God, we're getting into this deep now. Hey, I'm going to stop being the client.
Cool. So I guess...
But you get what I mean? Like, so a lot of girls will think they won't associate, so I guess you can touch on that now, but they won't associate where they're good at certain areas of their life and how that might roll into, say, a relationship, because a lot of people associate being single with lack of self-worth. And I think that's where I was for a while back then. I used to always jump into another relationship because I was like, that gave me gratification that someone else cared about me. And it took me a while to go, hey, it's okay being single. It's better being single than settling for something that isn't right. And it's I guess it's about finding the right examples that
contradict what you're saying. And this is going to be hard because our brain is trained, and this is called our reticular activated system, or our RAS, and our brain is trained to look for things that will kind of agree with us, or that will continue to perpetuate what we've got currently going on. Because your brain is not sitting there looking for things like, oh, I wonder how we can contradict ourselves today. Yeah. Your brain likes everything to be kind of in order and moving forward, and everything makes sense and everything's normal. So when it comes to things like your mindset, when it comes to things like when you're looking around the environment for compliments, if your brain tells you that, no, we don't usually get compliments, okay, cool, then I'm not going to focus on them. You might get 5 to 10 a day. You just don't see them for what they are. You might just compartmentalize them in another thing. So I guess a little bit of frame around NLP, there's one of the big concepts is that there's 8 million bits of information that are coming at us every single second. You're probably not aware of things like the sound of the air conditioning in the background, or the feel of your butt on the chair, or the feel of the tongue in your mouth, until I make you aware of those things. Because what happens is we do 3 things with information. We delete, we distort, and we generalize. Because 8 million bits is a lot to take in. 8 million bits of information is a lot of information. So we break it down, and this was done in sort of the 1960s and 70s, but we break it down into 7 plus or minus 2 chunks, so like 5 to 9 chunks of information.
It's broken down a lot from 8 million. Yeah.
Exactly. And then your life is essentially determined by the 5 to 9 chunks that you're picking up. But, I mean, we're in 2018 now. Has life gotten busier, or has it gotten less busy? It's gotten far busier. The demand for your attention is a lot higher. I mean, we don't even if we have to sit through a 5-second unskippable ad on YouTube, we're like, oh my God, what is this like? So
people like Netflix because there's no ads.
Exactly.
Compared to TV, they're like, TV, ads for 3 minutes.
Sometimes
Jesus.
Netflix even skips the intro of the show for you after a couple episodes because you don't need to see that anymore.
Yeah.
So it's now more like 3 to 5 chunks of information. And if the chunks you're looking for are, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, no one will like me, then you don't leave room to find anything positive. You don't leave room to find examples to the contrary. So especially when it comes to relationships, you've got to look for, cool, is this person in a relationship? Yes. Are they happy? No, maybe not. Cool. Does that mean necessarily that relationship equals happiness?
Yeah.
No. So
skinny body doesn't equal happiness.
Exactly. We make a lot of correlations in our head that we think, first I'll get this, then I'll be happy. Or once I have this object, then I'll be happy. It's like, no, that's not quite how it works. We think that those things are going to make us happy, but the real benefit of a goal, the real purpose of a goal is to become the person who is worthy of that end result. Yeah. So it's about becoming the person who's worthy of an amazing relationship, which does mean working on yourself, which means having some self-confidence, which means accepting some of your flaws and owning some of your flaws and saying, cool, that's me. And Alice touched on this before very subconsciously. She said, but very purposely in the when we're doing a bit of the role play. Oh, yeah, but instead of using but, every time you catch yourself using the word but, I want you to use the word and. Because we are our flaws, we are our best things, we are everything, and we are so much more. It's not just we are one thing but we are not this, but this. It's we are everything. We are so much more. So that's a really good word to use in your language. If you find yourself talking negative, it's usually because of a but.
Yeah, and because I think people see a flaw as a bad thing, but sometimes a flaw to you might be a positive to someone else, which I know sounds weird. But the thing is in life, like, if you were to say to someone, what is the perfect human being? Like,
everyone's going to have a different answer.
Exactly. So how is it that you've got one vision of perfect in your own head, but that perfect might not be the perfect that is going to attract the guy that you want? So you might work on yourself, you might do all that, and then he's still not interested in you. And then you've got to be okay with accepting that. And then that comes back to then loving yourself first and not putting that pressure on someone else. Because I think that's the biggest problem that women have when it comes to dating. We'll have to do a whole nother episode on dating because I got some gems I'd love to share on that.
Yeah, that'll be a good episode. You can sign me up for that.
That'd be good for you too.
Yeah, I'm in for it, man. I'm in.
But I think that'd be good from a male and female perspective. But yeah, definitely. I think that the biggest lesson I learned when it comes to dating, I guess touching on it very briefly, is like, you shouldn't have to change who you are, number one, for someone else. And number two, don't settle for something that isn't what you want. And number three, at the same time, don't look for someone that's perfect. Because there will never be a perfect person. It's more of accepting the other person, much like you need to accept yourself. and accept that they've got flaws, you've got flaws, we've all got flaws. So, and just, get on with it. If you feel like you can live, that they add to your life, then great. If they don't, then see you later. Simple as that. All right, well, let's get into it now. Let's get off the relationship hot train. So we'll have Shawnee on for that one too.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into the topic of stress. How many times do we hear the word stress in a day?
15 to 16, I would say.
As coaches.
That's my 3 to 5 chunks. Is
maybe a Monday more. Yeah. So I think I want you guys to think, listening to it, how many times a day are you someone listening to this podcast that is that person that when someone comes up to you and says, how are you? You say, I'm stressed. I'm so stressed, because that used to be me. And now I've tried to change my language, which I've gotten much better at, which has in turn helped me change how I see things, be more grateful, be more appreciative, all of that stuff. Easier said than done. It's taken a while. But let's get into stress, I guess, what stress actually is and what that can turn into if it's not taken care of.
Cool. So stress comes in many forms. It can be stress, it can be overwhelm, it can be anxiety, it can be being really busy. And essentially what this is just a build-up and a focus on too many things, trying to do too many things at once, and also thinking that you need to do all of these things at once. So stress will often come, when things are going out of your control, when there are things that you are not able to control that are happening and that you want to be able to control, and you get annoyed that you can't do anything about it, and it's going to have it might have an impact on your life in some capacity, but you can't do anything directly to affect it, so you can get annoyed about that. And that might be something like your workflow. It might be something like your relationship. It might be your kids. We know you can't directly do much to change what your kids are doing at any given time, but it's essentially a focus on what you're not able to control. And then instead of actually focusing on a solution and prioritizing, what we often do is we use this as a reason to turn on the TV because I'm so stressed out, or we use it as a reason not to go to the gym because I just have so much to do, right? So it's just a build-up of all this emotion that we don't have an adequate outlet for, and we also don't have a really good strategy for dealing with.
And then the result of that is procrastination, frustration. You get more annoyed because then you procrastinate, you get less shit done. Even depression, anxiety, all of those things are very big ones. And Jason did touch on it, but I guess I want to just explain what acute and chronic stress is, because there's a big difference there, more from a physiological standpoint of what actually happens within the body. People talk a lot about cortisol levels and lowering or raising cortisol. Cortisol is not the devil. You need cortisol to actually function. So we don't want to be aiming for no cortisol, because you'd be like a sloth. So we want to have peaks in cortisol at certain times of the day. But there's certain warning signs if someone is chronically stressed, so long-term stressed, where they will generally struggle a lot in the evening to wind down, to go to sleep. They have bad nighttime routines. They can't switch off. They are definitely signs of high stress and different peaks in cortisol. So what I mean by acute stress would be like, something literally just happened. Say you get in a car accident, and immediately what's going to happen when you get hit by another car and you're on your way to work and you know it's going to slow down your day? You're okay physically. They're okay physically. But it's annoying. You know what I mean? It's now you have to cancel a meeting, and now you've got to do this, and now you've got to do that.
Oh, God, have I renewed my insurance? I got in contact with my company.
Exactly. We had our roof fall in on Friday night. Acute stress. Yeah. Okay. We actually did laugh at it. But it was just annoying more than stressful to me. And that's how I see things. I'm like, it's just an annoyance. It will pass. I can't do anything about it. Exactly that. But the old me probably would have got really stressed out about it. So what I'm trying to say is you can really control acute stress pretty quickly, just accepting that it's a moment and that it will pass. But if you let that build up, that is then when chronic stress happens. So if you're not managing, what I mean by chronic stress is, I guess, the day in and day out grind. Every day you wake up and you're like, I'm stressed today. Every day you're stressed about something. And then there's a difference there in mindset. So how would you explain, I guess, the mindset of someone who's chronically stressed as opposed to an acute stress?
So, an acute stress, anything after a stimulus, after something happens, any emotion that we continue to hold on to, or anything we hold on to after 7 seconds, is a choice. So someone slaps you in the face. Right? You've got 7 seconds where you're very justified.
You're like, asshole. Yeah.
Exactly. You've got 7 seconds where you're very justified in being angry at that person because it's an acute response, right? It's an immediate response. You get a flood of, you're going to get some adrenaline going through. And then after 7 seconds, it's then a choice. because we have that period of time. That's why, whenever we talk to kids, we talk about fights, take a deep breath and count to 10, because then your rational mind can take over again and say, okay, cool. Do I really want to feel this emotion? Do I really want to feel stressed about this? So acute stress is understanding that you can control that. And that also that you can control how you respond. It's one of my favorite quotes. It's like, you can't control what happens around you, but you can control how you show up.
Yeah.
Right? So you can control how you respond to the situation. Life is 90% life is 10% what happens to you, and 90% what you do about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's 10%. It's 10% what happens to you. What happened to you? Cool, my roof fell in. 90% of success is going to be, what are you going to do about it? Someone who is, less experienced and not as, in as good of a place as Alice in terms of her mindset, probably would have let that ruin their entire week, would have thrown everything out, probably wouldn't have got any check-ins done on Monday. Oh, Easter's ruined. And people who, they live in a mindset where that's normal, because then they'll have friends around them that feed that and will say, oh my God, I can't believe what a pain in the ass. You should call your insurance company. You should get this. And they'll feed the anger and the stress. And it's like, yeah, God, now you've got to do this.
Oh, your life's ruined from the roof.
Yeah, you've got water in your house. How dare you, God.
Oh, you've got no hot water. Oh, no.
God, cold showers. That means you're going to be perky and awake in the morning.
Yeah.
So that's I guess, how someone who, and as Alice really described, it's like, cool, well, I couldn't control that. I didn't know that shit was going to happen. Like, how I'm not up in the roof every single day making sure it's not falling down.
It's not my house. Yeah.
Exactly. And people who get acutely stressed will think, I could have done this or I could have done that. And it's like, well, you didn't. So clearly it's not something that you would have done.
Yeah.
So I guess the key to controlling and the key to acute stress is understanding that you control your response, and all you can do is accept, well, that happened. We spend a lot of time and we waste a lot of time and mental energy thinking, what if something else had happened? Or what if it didn't fall in? What if it was just perfect? Or what if I had done that thing?
Yeah.
Well, guess what? All of that is done. And while we can be upset about that, we can also take comfort in that and say, well, it's done. Okay, cool. Now we know the lay of the land. We know exactly what's going on. So we can move forward. We can respond.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I think that, like we said, like, stress is a choice, 100%. Like, you can choose to be stressed about a situation, even say the S word, or you can choose to take a different route. So, like, I guess it depends, again, what you're stressed about, like we said before. If it's that chronic stress, because a stress for someone chronically might be something like a stress that they're not in a relationship and that they're coming up to 30 and they're not married and they don't have kids.
Yeah.
Okay, that might be a chronic stress because you're always thinking about it. So what would you do, I guess, encourage someone like that situation where it's more something that's constantly on their brain? It's not really something that's like affecting their day-to-day directly, but indirectly. They're like thinking about it.
Yeah, it's just sitting in their traps.
Tapping away,
They're all tensed up.
Or even weight loss. Like, let's relate it back to health and fitness. So someone that is overweight and it's stressing them out because they can't fit into their clothes, they can't whatever, they've gained all this weight, it's stressing them out, and they're constantly thinking about it on the daily, even though they are kind of doing something about it, but they are not where they want to be. So let's say they've got 20 kilos to lose and they are chipping away half a kilo or so a week, but they're still stressing them out because they're still uncomfortable with how they look. So in either of those situations, how would we approach that so you're not dealing with chronic stress, which can affect weight loss as well, because then you're affecting your cortisol.
Exactly. So one of my favorite quotes is from a movie called Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day. Really great, insightful children's film, clearly. So
not seen that.
And so it's got Steve Carell in it. Pretty sure it's based on a book. And essentially he was working at NASA and then he lost his job. And then his wife ended up getting a job. She became the primary breadwinner, and he was, looking for a job. And after a couple of months of this, she came home and he was, quietly, flipping through the paper. And she was like, "So, how did the interview go?" "On, didn't get it." She's like, "So why aren't you it's been 3 months and you haven't got a job? Why aren't you more stressed out? Why aren't you trying to do all this kind of stuff and trying to make everything happen?" He's like, "Well, I mean, I could stress about it, but is that going to help me find a job?
Yeah.
Is that going to help me apply myself any better? Or is that going to make me worse at it? Am I going to be a better partner when I'm stressed? Am I going to be a better father when I'm stressed? Am I going to be, a better employee when I'm stressed?" We choose stress often. I think the first
it's an easy go-to.
Exactly, it's an easy go-to. I think we need to understand.
Quick fix rather than having to actually work on the problem.
Yeah, exactly. And we want to, I guess, introspection and looking inside, I guess, is one of the big things that I want anyone to do who is feeling stressed chronically, to say, cool, so what stresses me out about the way that I look.
Yeah, get into it deeper.
Exactly, because it's not just the way that you look, right? It's going to be the way that you look, how that makes you feel, or what you think that means for you, again, in a relationship sense, or, just from a self-worth standpoint, or from a health standpoint, or whatever. There's going to be a deeper reason as to why you feel stressed out about this.
Keep asking why.
Exactly.
Keep saying why 5 times.
Yeah, 5 times. And when you find yourself hitting a little barrier where you have no answers, that's good. That means you're hitting you're hitting the limit of your conscious mind, and you're going to go unconscious where the real answers are.
Yeah.
So that's what's really important to find out is why. Why do you feel stressed? Why are you choosing to feel stressed in this environment? Because you could be stressed about not being in a relationship by 30, or you could be stressed about being 20 kilos
and
overweight.
then go deeper. Yeah.
Exactly. And then I was like, oh, cool. You could be stressed about those things, but why do you need to be?
Yeah.
Why do those things have an impact on your life? And then once you get deeper, and you'll understand really, why. What is the real issue? And once you realize, and once you actually kind of accept to yourself, because a lot of us live in denial about these.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's a big part of the problem.
Yeah. So once you identify what's going on, then you can finally say, okay, cool. I've admitted to myself what's going on. Now it can not be as much of a problem for me anymore.
I think that being honest with yourself is one of the best personality traits that you can work on. Like, that was actually one of my things in my 30. It was like, not just being honest with other people, but be truthful to yourself. Don't lie to yourself. Don't be like, yeah, I'm okay. And then you're like bottling up all this stress. And like we said before, like, some people don't want to dig deep. So they don't want to go, well, the why would go, yeah, I'm stressed out. Okay, why? Because I'm not married and I'm almost 30. Okay, why does that stress you out? Because my biological clock's ticking and I'm worried I won't be able to have kids. Okay, well, why is that a problem? Because I want to have kids and I want to be a mother and blah, blah, blah. And then it's getting deeper, you know what I mean? And then we're getting into the real reason. And it's like, well, with that situation, you can't just have a kid overnight. You can't just find a hubby like that. So what's the point in stressing about it?
Yeah.
Like, what does it add to your plate?
Exactly. And then you find someone who would be an ideal father, and he sees you pulling your hair out and saying, I need to have kids. And it's like, is that going to attract... Yeah, exactly. Not only that, but it's also
about... Don't play cool, ladies.
Exactly. It's all about looking at your options as well, because, in that situation, obviously, biology is a thing. So understanding that, cool, could I free some eggs?
Exactly.
Could I do IVF? There's plenty of, I guess, and that's only when you start to become solution focused and looking at, okay, cool, I can't control this. What can I control?
And it comes back to that why again, because if the why is that you want to be married and be a wife, as opposed to you want to have kids, they're two very different things. And understanding that, like you said, today we have options in society, and it's actually something I considered before I met Sean. I was like, I know I want to be a mum at some point. I think I was 27 or 28 when I met Sean, so almost 30. We've been together almost 3 years. But I thought at that same point, I haven't met anyone, and if I don't meet anyone, I'm cool with that. But I know I want to be a mum. I know that the kid thing means more to me than actually being someone's wife.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that for me was an option. I was like, okay, well, maybe I'd freeze my eggs. I actually had a joke with one of my guy mates, and we said if we're both single at 30, we'll just get together and have a kid because they'd be gorgeous. So that was the plan. He's an engineer. He's a smart boy. So shout out. We're both actually in relationships now, so we're both screwed. But yeah.
Yeah, the gene pool is suffering now.
Exactly. Well, like, he's got 2 young brothers, so there you go, ladies. But yeah, so I think that's one thing, is stress is just a reaction to things. So let's talk strategy now. Let's get specific with these guys to wrap this up, because we are going to make it a long one today, but if you would love another episode with Jason on another topic, we'd love to do that. So if someone is stressed out about something, what are some key steps in their day? Let's say the main one, workaholics, okay?
Yep.
People that are working a shitload, running their own business maybe, or working in a high stress situation. Say they're under a big CEO or something like that. They're maybe in sales. They're kind of the stressful jobs. Maybe they're a doctor, a lawyer. Weird hours, anyone that works shift work, all of that sort of stuff, okay? You know what? Anyone's jobs can be stressful if they let them. So unless, even, God, I used to work at Chicken Treat and that was stressful, all right? So let's look back on it and go, how do you go from working a part-time job that used to stress me out to me now running businesses and probably managing my stress better? Okay, so what tips can we give those people? And you go some, and I've got some as well that work for me.
Cool. So I guess there's two avenues to look at. One would be your personal mindset, your personal life outside of the work environment. So that would include things like gratitude and journaling. Gratitude is a really big one. If you start your morning off feeling grateful, And gratitude is one of the most powerful emotions, because while you're busy feeling grateful, it is impossible to feel anxiety, impossible to feel depression, stress, overwhelm, all these other words.
Unless you're a real dickhead.
Yeah, unless like, look, if you can do that, then I'm well impressed, all right? I'm not even mad, I'm impressed. Like, so it's important for you to get back to a space of gratitude and say, cool, I've got, people want to give me so much work. How grateful am I that I am so good that people want to just keep giving me work? Because clearly I'm the best. Clearly I am so good that these people just keep coming to me and say, oh, can you do this for me? Can you do this for me? Clearly I'm amazing in that sense. So you could flip it around like that. That's, I guess, a little bit more of a lighthearted one. But to get a little bit more strategic would definitely be prioritization, and not just like, oh, I've got to do this today. It's really getting clear on your time that's free, your scope for the week, and saying, cool, what do I need to get done? What are the time frames, and what are my big rocks and what are my little rocks?
Yeah.
What I mean by that is, what is my most important things to get done? And I do this at work every single day. It'd be cool. What is my key tasks for the week? And what are my key performance indicators around that? People in high stress jobs will, or I guess more corporate jobs will understand these terms. But getting really clear on what's the biggest, hardest thing I need to do, and do that first.
Yeah, and same with if you're not in a job. If you're a mum, do the same thing. Write out your tasks. I do the same thing. Especially on a Monday, I'll do them for the whole week, but then I'll reassess every day. Yeah. So if, say, I haven't got something done on the Monday, then I'll go, okay, where can I put that throughout the week if it's something that's not as important?
Yeah.
And I kind of prioritize in the list of importance, like it has to be done today, it's a non-negotiable, or it's a negotiable. It has to be done this week, but if I have extra time, great. But I used to be the person that would have to try to do everything on a Monday. Yeah. And then I would get nothing done.
Yeah, exactly. And I think one of the more effective ways to do that as well is, as Al said, batching your time. So a lot of people, especially at work, can waste time on emails or menial tasks, or, being a mum, you can get flustered trying to do everything at once. If you take, and I'll just take emails for an example. So take 30 minutes in the morning to just only emails, answer emails, reply, all that kind of stuff. 30 minutes in the evening to do all that kind of stuff. Boom. Emails are taken care of. And when you're not doing the task, don't have that tab open.
Yeah, absolutely. Jess.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Shout out to Jess. Same thing for life. If you don't have to be doing the other things, then don't have that mental tab open. Yeah. The problem with stress,
we're too accessible these days.
Exactly. Yeah. Stress is literally having just too many tabs open mentally.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you'll have, then a Facebook message will come through, and then you'll start to build everything up. And for some of you, it might be legitimate stress. For some of you, you might just be building it up because being busy or being stressed makes you feel more important, or makes you feel more valid in what you're doing.
I used to feel lazy when I didn't have stuff to do. And Sean used to laugh at me because even yesterday, I had a super productive day yesterday. I got all my check-ins done on a Monday. I don't like them spilling over to Tuesday morning, but sometimes it happens. Sometimes clients ask a million questions and they take me an hour instead of, 20 minutes or whatever, which is fine. But I don't like doing that. And I was like, nope, I'm going to get them all done. I had them all done by 9 o'clock. And I know that sounds late, but I'd actually gone and trained during the day. So I like to break my day up with going and training and then coming back, because otherwise I don't get to the gym till 10 p.m. And that's a bad habit as well, because I put work before everything else. But yeah, and I was super productive, and I was like, oh my God, I've got my Tuesday. Like normally, I'd have to wake up super early at 5 a.m. to finish them because I don't like my clients waiting. And I was like, okay, I can sleep until 7 and I can go walk the dogs and, but it was just a case of, like you said before, is just being more organized. And on a Monday, saying no to everything else. Because Monday's check-in day, I had a couple of clients message me, say they wanted to come see me for skin folds and they wanted to come have a chat. And I was like, no, I can't do it on a Monday. And I used to feel guilty about saying no. And that's a big one that helped me. So I know I kind of jumped in on yours there. But I think learning to say no is a massive one. And it doesn't mean that you're saying no to that forever. It just means I can't do that today, or I can't do that right now. Maybe not even this week. And that's okay. Because I think, especially working for yourself or working from home, I have friends a lot of the time will message me and say, hey, do you want to go for a coffee on a Wednesday morning? And I'm like, just because I'm working, I still have a structure throughout my day. Whereas I used to be that person that was like, yeah, sure. And then I'd be stressed out because I'd come back from a 3-hour coffee that was meant to be 45 minutes, and then you're behind on all your work. So learning to say no. All right, what are some of your other ones? So I jumped in there.
No, I like learning to say no. It's because saying no is not putting the other person down or thinking we don't care about them. It's just putting your needs ahead of whatever, because usually it'll be a trivial thing like a coffee or like a lunch or something. And if someone says no to you for a coffee, you don't hold it against them. You're just like, okay, cool. Well,
just
next time.
Exactly. Like I'll say to someone, look, I've got this and this time free. Do any of those work for you?
Yeah.
And if they say no, we'll go, cool, what about next week? It's as simple as that. It's not saying, well, you need to fit in with my schedule. It's just saying, sorry, unfortunately, that doesn't work, but what about, here's some options, you know?
Yeah.
Give yourself options and then make them options that actually suit you,
Yeah.
not ones that you're trying to, you know,
Yeah.
make someone else happy for. Yeah.
Exactly. So my other one would be physically, like if you have a whiteboard, even better, write out a list and physically cross them off as they get done.
Oh, I love ticking things off.
Exactly, because the thing is, we will continue to stress about things that are already done. We will continue to stress about things that have already happened because it feeds the cycle of, you know, oh, I'm so stressed, I'm so overwhelmed, whatever it is, right? So it's really important for us to take a look and say, cool, I've actually already completed this. Why am I still worrying about it? Or this isn't due for months. Why am I worrying about it? So we have either the week or the day up on a whiteboard. And then as it goes through, just cross that bad boy off. You know how satisfying it is. And don't move on to the next one until the first one is done. Yeah. That's the problem. People spend too much time trying to do everything at once and they do nothing effectively.
Because they can't figure out what's the most important one.
Exactly. Cool. The most important one would be whatever the one you wrote down first. Cool. Do that one first. Then you get something done as opposed to half-assing 4 things.
And another one that I use more so when I'm traveling for work, so I can't take my whiteboard with me, is I use an app called Evernote or a computer program. That's what I pretty much use for everything. And I have different, you can break it into subfolders. So I have subfolders for like meeting minutes with my staff. I have subfolders for my weekly tasks, my daily tasks, client tasks, personal tasks, business tasks, marketing tasks. So I break that all down because there is a lot. So I even have a social media overview there. Like I have 4 social media accounts. So making sure they're all getting posted on, all of that. But again, they are like the bottom of my priority list. Like at the end of the day, stuff like me doing an Instagram post comes well after getting my client work done. So again, this comes back to priorities because a lot of people think, oh, I've got to go post on Instagram. It's like, is that really important in the big scheme of things?
Is that a big rock or is that a little rock?
Exactly, yeah. Unless it's a post about, say, running a camp or a workshop or, you know, doing something that's actually productive for your business. But doing a post or a selfie or something, it's like, that can wait, you know?
Yeah.
I do that when I'm doing my cardio or like something else, you know, unless it's an important post, I'll sit down and write it. But, okay, so other ones that have helped me is definitely removing myself from the situation that is stressing me out. So I know that sounds weird and a lot of people do the opposite. So what I mean by that with work is if you are stressed about work, people will stay there and sit there. So what I tend to do now is if it's all really building up is I will go lay down for 5 minutes. Now, I know that doesn't sound like much, but I will literally just go lay down and shut my eyes. I don't fall asleep, but I just shut my eyes. And I'm not someone that likes as much the written gratitude, but I will lay in my brain and sit there and I will think about what I'm grateful for. And just having that moment of solitude, I guess it's my form of meditation, is a great one. Or I'll go take my dogs for a quick walk. Now, the old me would have been like, well, you don't have time to take your dogs for a walk. You're already stressed out about everything you have to do. But if I'm not being productive, then I know going for a 15-minute walk around the block with my dogs is going to have me be far more productive when I come back. And that's also why I go train at like 3 or 4 o'clock. That's my new goal, is not going to the gym too late, but then coming back and getting back into work. Yeah. So, that's definitely helped.
Yeah, I guess 2 things on that. Number one is, we can't focus on one task for more than 90 minutes at a time. So if you spend longer than 90 minutes focusing on one thing over and over again, then you need to take a break before you get back into it. So I think breaking up your day with training like that is going to be really effective. But I forgot what the second one was. Oh my God, I had something in my head as well. So basically, as Alice was saying, it's really important to take those breaks. Oh, that's right. So if you don't have time to meditate for 5 minutes in a day, then you need to take 30 minutes.
Yeah.
That's essentially what was happening there when it comes to, walking dogs. I don't have time to walk dogs. Well, if you don't have time to take your dogs for a 10-minute walk, you need to take them for a half an hour walk.
Exactly.
Because clearly your life is your life is living you. You're not living your life.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's a big one. Like, we all have the same 24 hours in the day. Some of us have different things. I'm not saying anyone has it better, worse, same, whatever. Mm-hmm. But just accept that that's your day, and that if you want to make something a priority, you will make it a priority. Yeah. Like
saying Oprah has the same amount of hours in a day.
Yeah, and Oprah goes to the gym. So, it's crazy because the amount of times people will say, I don't have time for the gym, I'm stressed out. It's like you don't need to commit hours and hours to it, but taking half an hour for you or 45 minutes for you is not selfish. And it might mean changing your day. It might mean waking up half an hour earlier. It might mean going to bed a little earlier so you can wake up. It might be having a more efficient nighttime routine. Mm-hmm. It might be having someone else do your meal prep so that's not something you have to worry about. again, like we said, rather than saying you're stressed all the time, think about solutions. Be a solution-based person. Be someone that is looking at a growth mindset, not a like stagnant, like worries me mindset, because it's not something that anyone wants to be around as well. Now, I know that sounds bad, but to be honest, I don't enjoy spending my time with people who are like, I'm stressed, I'm overwhelmed, I'm tired, I'm this, I'm that. It's okay to have a moment and, you know, maybe you need to talk to someone about it. And that's what we do as friends to each other, even with our staff. I always check in with you guys. How you going? How you dealing with your workload? All of that. But that's acute is okay. It's the chronic. If you're chronically that person that is always saying it, it's time to have a look inside and really go, what shit needs to change for me to be happy? Because this is starting to affect me long term, my relationships, people around me. Maybe your friends aren't calling you as much. Notice these little things because they're probably, having a bit of an effect. All right, we have to wrap up because I am late for a client call. But, Jace, can you give us, I guess, a quick little summary at the end there? Any little affirmations around stress or around mindset that you want to leave these guys with?
I think one of the biggest things is that when you do find yourself getting stressed about things that you can't control, is just ask yourself, what can I do about this? And if the answer is nothing, awesome, cool. If you can't do anything about it, then why are you going to stress about it? And if you can do something about it, then awesome. Why do you need to stress about it? You've got something you can do about it. So asking what can you do rather than, as Alice said, what was me, is probably the best thing. It's like, that's the number one thing in any stressful situation that comes up for me, any big drama, news, whatever happens to me. But cool, what can I do about it?
Yeah.
Can I do anything? No? Well, darn it.
Exactly.
That happened. That's all you can really say.
Yeah, my favourite saying is control what you can control.
Yeah.
And let go of everything else because it's just a waste of time, waste of energy, waste of emotion, waste of brain space that you could be using that brain space to do something productive. Like we only have so much space in our brain for a thought a minute, you know?
Yeah.
So thank you so much. And I guess as well, we are going to be running a more intensive workshop. It's going to be about 3 hours. So get ready for 3 hours of us, but we want to have a bit more hands-on. So we'll get a few people up. We're going to be running through. So if you're struggling with anything mindset related, we're going to get a little more specific on the seminar details that I'll be posting. But it is going to be, I've forgotten the dates now that we did say it was going to be, early May. Yeah, early May. So we'll post up details on that as well. And Jace, what are we going to kind of be in for at that event?
Essentially, we're going to be targeting self-sabotage, mindset, motivation, and strategy. So looking at, cool, how do you get motivated to actually do the things you know you need to do whenever we get those slumps? If you're someone who starts to sabotage themselves halfway through, like binge eating, you get halfway through a goal and then you start to screw it up for yourself. Why are we unconsciously doing that, and how to really stop that? Yeah. And then looking at, cool, what does the strategy need to be for you to get back on the wagon if you do fall off? Yeah,
absolutely. It's going to be more related to health and fitness specifically. So definitely, like, almost how is your mindset kind of cock blocking you from getting the best results possible when it comes to nutrition and training? Because a lot of the reason that people fail is not the diet often, it's not the training often, it's actually getting to the gym, being consistent, not self-sabotaging, all of that. So we're going to be doing that at this workshop. I think it's going to be amazing. It's going to be really insightful for you guys and help you move forward if you are someone that you know that's holding you back and you don't know what to do about it. So if you've fallen off 10 billion diets before and you're still struggling, then definitely come hang with me and Jace at this seminar. It will be in Perth. So it will be only for the live event. We're not recording it, anything like that. So you got to be there, got to be in it to win it. And that's it. So thank you so much for tuning into another episode. What is the best way to get in contact with you, Jace, for any work related stuff? And what are you kind of doing work wise at the moment with this?
Cool. So at the moment, I work for Alice. Obviously, we run hashtag Team Round. We are running Breakthrough. I do a lot of the coaching for the girls in the group, as well as some of the girls that Alice coaches herself. So the easiest way to get at me for anything Alice related is jason@aliceround.com. I mean, Jason Barrett on Facebook. You've got me at real
IG.
Yeah, at real Jason Barrett on Instagram, the real one. And there's a lot of fake ones, so there's not a real one. But yeah, I'm pretty open. I do a lot of that. I'll do Instagram stories on this kind of stuff. I'll do Facebook Lives on this.
And you do kind of one-on-one breakthrough sessions if people want them as well, if they just want to like have a sit with you. And
yeah, for sure. So if anyone wants to do that, reach out to me on Instagram or Facebook. I'm happy to have a bit of a chat, and I do one-on-one stuff as well. So if there's something that you really want, you know, a real sit down and just nut it out over like an hour or two, then we can definitely do that, and you'll be leaving feeling a lot better as well.
Absolutely. Like if you've got one thing that you know is just specifically holding you back, absolutely, that's where NLP is super, super handy. I've done some NLP myself, not as a coach, but as a more having it done on me, and definitely, you know, had the waterworks going, got a little teary, but broke through some stuff and came out the other side much, much better. And I want to get myself educated more on it too. So thank you so, so much for tuning in. I think this has been very insightful. I'm hoping this has helped you guys. If you love the episode, leave some comments, leave us a review on iTunes. No nasty comments, please. Only the niceties.
5 stars.
That's it. 5 stars on iTunes. Thanks for tuning in, guys. And yeah, we'll chat to you in another episode. See ya.